I come from Johannesburg, I was born here. He and Oliver Tambo had their practice, and they used to walk down to have lunch at the International Club and later at Capitans. And all of us youngsters used to stand there and gawk. You know, so these were the black lawyers, the leaders. So that's the first time, and the two of them always used to walk down together. The first time I met him would be when he came out of the country in 1962. I got a phone call. The system was that I was in Dar es Salaam, and I would get photographs of people who were going to be coming. So this whole exile and training people groups going through. And I had a photograph. The photographs used to come. And I had this, and I looked at it, and I said, well, that looks familiar. They were very different. It's the photograph, it's quite famous now, with him in a striped T-shirt. That was his passport photograph that was sent to me. And then Oliver Tambo arrived expecting, asking me, when's Mandela coming? And I said, I've had nothing.
Mandela was on a mission to drum up support for the armed struggle.
I was then told when he came what to do with him, nothing more, until I got a call from a border official in Tanganyika, it was Tanganyika still, saying, some of your leaders are here. I said, put them on the line. Joe Matthews came on the line and said, look, it's me, I'm with somebody. And I said, fine, just send them through. So I opened the door, and there is the person. Remember, I'm supposed to hide. That was my instruction. Keep him out of sight. And there is this very tall person in Tanganyika in a Sotho hat, safari suit, and mosquito boots. There's nothing that could... And he often laughs. He says, the first thing you told me was, I've got to hide you.
His African travels took him to Tanzania, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Ethiopia, and several West African countries. In Guinea, Madiba, Oliver Tambo, and Walter Sisulu underwent military training in Kindia, about 130 kilometers out of Conakry. The room they shared has been preserved, with some of their belongings still found in it. Their meals would be cooked in this area. This old man remembers the three.
Yeah, I used to accompany them for training, for their food training. One of them was of bright complexion, big. The other one was of dark complexion and short.
After almost a year away from home, Madiba finally slipped back into the country but was arrested shortly thereafter.
I have cherished the idea of a democratic and free society. It is an ideal for which I am prepared to die.
That speech was read from pulpits in churches. You know, this was the power of that message. And this is what both Mandela, of course, epitomized in that speech, and what created that support for him. He was never seen as a revolutionary military leader. He managed to keep both.
After being released, one of the first people he met was Oliver Tambo. Mandela and his wife Winnie traveled to Sweden for one of the most emotional meetings. They'd last seen each other when they parted ways in 1962.
How do you feel now that you're just about to meet Comrade President?
Well, all that I can tell you is that I feel on top of the world.
What do we expect to see when you'll meet for the first time after so long?
Won't you let us see him, please? We will see him first, and then we'll tell you what he said.
How do you feel that you're just about to meet Comrade Mandela after so long?
Very excited.
What do we expect to see when you'll get...
I don't know. I really don't know what to see. I don't know what to expect to see. But it's all very, very exciting. Unbelievable.
No, this is unbelievable.
Let's see, man. Good Lord.
He also made a point of visiting the MK camps to brief the soldiers about developments in the country. In a long speech, the MK commander seemed to be preparing the troops for the inevitable suspension of the armed struggle.
We are prepared to consider the end of hostilities. We say cessation of hostilities. We mean the end of armed operations, not the end of the armed struggle. The army will be there. We will continue to recruit. We will continue to upgrade the training of our present army, so that if something goes wrong, we should be able to launch our operations as we have been doing before. This is the position. There is no intention whatsoever of calling off the armed struggle. The armed struggle is on. But once the government has removed these obstacles, we will be able to call a truce so that we can have a proper atmosphere for negotiations.
By this time, preparations were already in their advanced stages for the tough negotiations that would follow, and when they did, it was often explosive.
I said I would like to raise a matter of national importance. And I'm happy you have given me the opportunity to do so. I am gravely concerned about the behavior of Mr. de Klerk today. He has launched an attack on the African National Congress, and in doing so, he has been less than frank. Even the head of an illegitimate, discredited minority regime as his has certain moral standards to uphold.
When at Codesa, he then had agreed, de Klerk had asked to speak last, and he had agreed. A number of people in the ANC delegation had concerns about
and we were convinced
probably
at that
because
stage
we were very mistrusting.
not to raise the issue at
and I think it was a large number.
peace conference.
And
we were given assurances
then when de
that
Klerk
now the
launched his
negotiation,
attack
which has been dragging and which
at
didn't
Codesa,
make any advances and progress,
Mandela just announced he was going to answer him. And I recall, Frene, can you think of a way Madiba can speak now? And I said, no. I mean, this is the last that's been announced. Of course, we never reckoned on Mandela. He didn't wait to be called, because he believed he had, you see, this is a characteristic of ANC leaders of the caliber of Mandela. He believed he spoke for the country, for the people, not in an arrogant way of, or a domineering way. Therefore, he had that right. He didn't have to ask for the right. I think this is what exemplified that kind of leadership. So when de Klerk sat down, he stood up and he started walking to the podium. I cannot imagine anybody being able to stop him. I can't, it was Justice Muhammad. It's a pity we never asked Justice Muhammad why He didn't say, sorry, the meeting is over, you're out of order, Mr. Mandela. And he then mounted the podium and made what is another seminal speech in our history.